Greetings. My esteemed seekers of truth, among so much media garbage, this time I gave Chaymaranto a break. It was his column, but I think today's feast is worth breaking down carefully, because what we saw yesterday is of great importance and could have serious consequences for the country. This feast is served with a touch of cynicism, a dash of irony, and the necessary dose of reality that keeps standing out. We are witnessing another episode of this national tragicomedy that we have had to live through. If you thought that the week before the World Cup would be peaceful, a time to enjoy the spectacle and forget for a second that the country is falling apart between our fingers, well, I have bad news for you. In the fourth transformation, rest does not exist because incompetence, cynicism, corruption, lies, and playing the victim work full-time. Let's get to it. History repeats itself, not as a farce, because this went beyond a comedy of errors a long time ago, but as a tragedy of epic proportions, starring a cast of politicians who, coincidentally, seem to be allergic to transparency and have a suspicious affinity for judicial misunderstandings. We have Ruben Rocha Moya, the hidden narco-governor of Sinaloa, along with his fellow sufferers. One who is already singing everything he knows in New York, Enrique Diaz Vega, who nobody knows where he is, and several others who are out there keeping their heads down, trying to go unnoticed, hoping the storm passes as quickly as possible. But what they don't know is that this is just the first drizzle. It turns out that Alfonso Durazo, governor of Sonora, and Americo Villarreal from Tamaulipas have come to light. Donald Trump's government, with that sniper-like aim that bothers our political class so much, has set its sights on them. A report from the Los Angeles Times once again shook the Morena cartel, mentioning that the next ones on the list are them. And of course, faced with the possible fall of this domino of governors, the former president, the Macuspana jackass. Yes, the one who left but never really leaves, López Obrador, has come out of his burrow. Not for justice, not for principles, but purely and simply out of survival instinct. Because let's be clear, in Mexican politics, the chain of command doesn't go down, it goes up. And when the strings are pulled from above, we inevitably end up at his doorstep. We all know that if there's something the old geezer masters, it's the art of playing the victim. It's fascinating to see the mental gymnastics this bastard pulls off in the letter he published yesterday. A letter that brings tears of desperation with every paragraph you read. On one hand, we have the worn-out, almost liturgical praises for the best president of Mexico in our time. And on the other hand, the feigned surprise at a Trump who, according to Andrés Manuel, is different from the one I knew. Please, different. The thing is, the Trump from before considered that the Andrés Manuel of that time was useful to his plans back then. He ordered him to send soldiers to the border and had him like a dog lying at his feet. The Trump of today is the one who is looking to dig into narco-politics, which was encouraged under the slogan, hugs, not bullets. And of course, he's looking out for his own interests. He's not Mother Teresa, the man. You'd have to be very naive to even think that. However, it turns out that given the current geopolitical landscape, the decisions he's making are, by inertia, benefiting a Mexico that's being consumed by a corrupt and authoritarian government. And since the monster's tail hits the guy from Macuspana right in the face and knocks over his stand, that's why in the eyes of the old man with wet feet, today's Trump, according to his letter, has lately let himself be handled by leeches, tyrants, thieves, trejos, freeloaders, pirates, big shots, climbers, speculators, cops, climbers, and evildoers. You know, the fancy words that idiot uses. The strategy of that fool Andrés Manuel is a masterpiece of the most vulgar kind of victimhood. The logic, if there is any, is pathetic. If Trump agrees with me, he's a statesman, a genius, a visionary. But just wait for the day Trump turns his back on us. Then, suddenly, according to him, he's being manipulated. He didn't decide that. They convinced him. He doesn't think that way. It's the people around him. The most hilarious thing is the argument that Trump is being deceived. Has the complete idiot realized the humiliation he's sending to President Trump in that message? It's a humiliation disguised as a defense. He practically ignores the office and belittles him. Think about it for a second. Do you really think Trump liked even the suggestion that he doesn't know what he's doing? He's degrading him. If your argument to defend yourself is to say that the president of the most powerful country in the world is so weak-willed that any small-time lawyer can change his mind in an afternoon, let me tell you, you messed up. You're calling him an idiot. And let me tell you something. If there's anything that can really get to Donald Trump, it's his ego, which of course gets trampled on by those words thrown from some godforsaken corner. We've seen Sheinbaum ever since the Rocha Moya scandal broke out, protecting his own people, trying to sell the idea that nothing's happening here, that everything is under control, and that the law is, well, just a suggestion. Then the great leader arrived to save the day with his letter-writing diplomacy. That's how worried they must be. López Obrador, true to his style of I have my own facts and I make my own rules, decided that the best way to deal with real pressure from the United States was by sending a letter. This letter-writing diplomacy is not only pathetic, it's deeply damaging. All it did was expose the inept prey. Because, let's be honest, does anyone really believe that Claudia Sheinbaum is the one making the decisions? Her narrative is nothing more than an extension, a photocopy of the one from Mr. Palenque. By intervening in this way, the old man patasmeadas, not only does he score an own goal for his team, now that the World Cup fever is on, but he also scores an own goal against the presidential office, making it clear to the world and to Trump himself that Sheinbaum is just an ornament on the desk. López Obrador's intention was to try to ease the tension, find an exit ramp or a diplomatic agreement, then he is very mistaken. If the Mexican government was already in deep trouble, now it's drowning in it. What he did was put the spotlight on, turn on the lights, and tell the White House, look, yes, it hurts us. Yes, it bothers us. And yes, we have a lot to hide. As Manuel just confirmed that he knows everything points to him. And this is where things get interesting. Because this is no coincidence. The United States isn't playing hide and seek. They're playing chess and we're playing marbles with the chess pieces. The government has tried to downplay the situation, but the menu is already set. The appetizer was Rocha Moya. That was to whet the appetite, a topic they tried to make disappear at the morning press conference, but it left a bitter taste that no one could get rid of. The starters are Durazo and Villarreal, who are swimming in a mire of absurd justifications. But without a doubt, the main course comes straight from La Chingada. And I'm not talking about the place where you want to send politicians, but the place where it all began. López Obrador, in his arrogance, thought he could set the pace of the game from the sidelines. He fell right into the provocation from the United States. He thought his political capital was infinite, that his aura still protected his followers, and he forgot that on the international stage, approval ratings don't matter. What matters are the files. And the files can't be erased with a lousy little letter playing the victim, and on top of that, openly offending the President of the United States. Here is the real reason for the nervousness and desperation. The target isn't the governors or Sheinbaum. The final target, the big fish, is the man who institutionalized tolerance toward the cartels. If Trump's legal offensive moves forward, the investigation won't stop at the office of a governor in Sinaloa, Sonora, or Tamaulipas. It will reach the offices of those who designed the policy of complicity that now has us with a noose around our necks. Andrés Manuel knows that if the facade falls, the structure will be revealed. And he is desperate to protect not only his movement, but also his own family, his children, who are of course under scrutiny. What he has in front of his horrifying face is the judgment of a reality that he can no longer control with an I have other data or a whatever my finger says. His idiot nonsense doesn't work today. He tried to resort to conspiracy, insinuating in his letter that the world is plotting against him and that Trump is a poor, confused man. And that's not diplomacy, that's fear. Fear that for the first time in this country's history, a former president will end up in a Brooklyn jail. The situation is almost poetic in its stupidity. If the reading in Washington a few weeks ago was that the Mexican government was playing kick the can with the request for provisional arrest and extradition, his incendiary speech on Sunday and old Guango's letter yesterday, the perception of accomplices and narco-politicians only grew stronger. We are witnessing the end of an era, not with a bang, but with a series of constant stumbles that they brought upon themselves. They locked themselves in a bunker of their own narrative, isolated from reality, believing that the rest of the world would play along with them. But international reality is harsh, cold, and above all, doesn't read the letters sent from Mexico to justify impunity. And once again, using World Cup jargon, we're 7 days away from the ball rolling at the World Cup. And while the whole world is getting ready for the show, the Mexican government has decided that why wait for the opening whistle if we can start scoring own goals right now? The team is falling apart. The captain doesn't have her boots on right. And the coach, who was supposed to be retired, keeps jumping onto the field to kick the ball, but only ends up hurting his own team. And that's where we'll leave it for today. Get ready. Because this political World Cup is going to get a lot murkier than it already is. What do you think? I'll read your comments.
Remember that you can make your donations via PayPal. You can find the information in the comment section. Thanks to you. This channel is still active. It's very important to subscribe, like, and hit the bell to get notifications whenever there's new content. Thank you.